and massive ships appeared without warning. They came from the darkness between stars, their black hulls blocking out the light of distant suns. Admiral Kate Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, watching the alien fleet take positions around Earth. Her hands gripped the rail as she counted the enemy vessels. There were too many to fight. How many ships do we count? She asked her crew. 347, Admiral, replied Lieutenant Commander Ryan Davis. All of them bigger than anything we've ever built. Kate nodded. She had expected. This day would come. Every person on Earth had heard the stories from other worlds. The Catherian Empire moved through space like a plague, conquering everything in their path. Now it was Earth's turn. The lead alien ship moved closer to Earth. It was shaped like a giant crystal, with sharp edges that caught the light of the sun. Strange symbols glowed along its sides. This was a warship built for destruction. Incoming. Message, reported Communications Officer Lisa Grant from her station. They want to talk. Put it through, Kate ordered. The main screen flickered to life. A creature unlike anything human appeared before them. It stood 8 feet tall, its body made of what looked like living crystal. Its eyes were cold blue lights that seemed to burn with inner fire. When it spoke, its voice sounded like grinding stone. I am War Master Zeet Tar of the Catherian Empire, the alien said. Your world has been chosen for integration into our domain. You will surrender all military forces and prepare for occupation. You have 72 hours to comply. Kate stepped forward. I am Admiral Kate Morrison, Commander of Earth's Defense. Fleet, we need to discuss terms. The alien's crystal face showed no emotion. There are no terms. Submit or be destroyed. This is the fate of all worlds that resist us. Let me speak with my government, Kate said. We need time to consider your offer. You have 72 hours, Zektar repeated. Use them wisely. The screen went dark. Kate turned to her crew. They all looked scared, but they were trying to hide it. She understood how they felt. The Catherian Empire had conquered over 800 worlds. No one had ever defeated them. Get me Captain Davis, she ordered. Send him to the alien ship. We need to buy time. Ryan Davis was Earth's best diplomat. If anyone could talk to the aliens, it would be him. He took a small shuttle to the crystal ship, passing through energy fields that made his hair stand up. The inside of the alien vessel was like being inside a giant gem. Everything was smooth and sharp at the same time. Zektar met him in what looked like a throne room. The walls showed pictures of destroyed worlds, burning cities, and defeated armies. It was meant to scare him, and it worked. Your species is young, Zektar said, walking around Ryan like a predator. You have been in space for only a few centuries. We have ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. Look at what happens to those who resist us. The walls changed to show new images. Entire planets cracked in half. Cities turned to glass. Oceans boiled away. Ryan felt sick looking at it, but he forced himself to stay calm. We're not looking for a fight, Ryan said, but we need better terms. Our people won't accept total surrender. Zektar made a sound like breaking glass. It might have been laughter. Your people will accept what we give them, or they will die. This is the way of things. Back on Earth, Dr. Lisa Grant worked in secret bunkers deep underground. The official story was that she studied deep space signals. The truth was much more important. She ran Project Lazarus, the most classified program in human history, for 400 years. Since humans first detected alien signals, they had been preparing for this day. The project went far beyond anything the public knew. It involved technology that seemed impossible, weapons that bent the laws of physics, and plans that would change everything. Colonel Jake Martinez, coordinated with world leaders from a command center built inside a mountain. Every major city on Earth had underground shelters that could hold millions of people. These weren't simple bunkers. They were entire cities, complete with farms, factories, and schools. The public thought they were for natural disasters. They were wrong. President Helen Brooks called an emergency meeting of the World Council. Leaders from every nation gathered in the underground command center. They had all been briefed on Project Lazarus years ago, but none of them had expected to use it. The Catherians have given us 3 days, President Brooks said. We all know what that means. They expect us to surrender like every other world. Maybe we should, said the Prime Minister of Europe. Fighting them seems impossible. We didn't spend 4 centuries preparing just to give up now, Brooks replied. Lisa, give them the briefing. Dr. Grant stood up. She looked tired but determined. Project Lazarus is ready. We've been testing the systems for decades. Everything works. And if it doesn't? Asked the President of Asia. Then we die fighting instead of living as slaves, Brooks said. I think that's better. The 72 hours passed quickly. The Catherian fleet moved into attack position around Earth, their weapons charged with deadly energy. Zektar contacted Earth one final time. Your time is over, he announced. Surrender now or face destruction. President Brooks appeared on every screen across the planet. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned with determination. Citizens of Earth, she said, the Catherian Empire has demanded our surrender. They have shown us what happens to worlds that resist them. They expect us to be afraid. She paused, looking directly into the camera. They're wrong. We are not afraid. We have been preparing for this day for 400 years. We reject their terms completely. The transmission switched to show Zektar's crystal face. He looked surprised. No world had ever rejected the Empire's ultimatum twice. You speak of preparation, he said. What can a young species like yours prepare against the might of our empire? President Brooks smiled. It was not a friendly smile. War Master Zektar, this is humanity's final warning. You have made a terrible mistake coming here. Leave our system now while you still can. The alien War Master's crystal body flashed with angry light. You dare threaten us? We will show you the price of defiance. No, Brooks said quietly. We will show you the price of underestimating humanity. You have been warned. The screen went dark. Across Earth, hidden systems began to activate. Deep underground, massive machines hummed to life. In space, satellites that had seemed harmless for decades began to move into new positions. The trap was set. The Catherian Empire had conquered 800 worlds, but they had never faced anything like what was waiting for them on Earth. The war was about to begin, and humanity was ready. War Master Zektar was done playing games. No species had ever dared to refuse the Empire's ultimatum twice. These humans would learn the price of defiance. He would make their destruction slow and painful, so other worlds would remember what happened to those who resisted. Target their moon, he commanded from his crystal throne. Use the planet cracker weapons. I want them to watch their sky burn. The Catherian fleet moved into position. Their largest ships aimed weapons that could split worlds in half. Energy built up in the crystal cores of their vessels, growing brighter and hotter. The humans would see their moon die, and then they would beg for mercy. The beams fired. Pure destruction lanced across space, hitting the moon with the force of 100 nuclear bombs. The ancient rock cracked and split, chunks of it spinning away into the darkness. The humans watched their moon die in silence, but something was wrong. The pieces of the moon were not flying toward Earth as they should. Instead, they were being stopped by something invisible. Energy fields flickered around the planet, catching the debris and turning it to dust. The defense grid that protected Earth was far more advanced than anything the Catherians had seen. "How is this possible?" Zektar demanded. "No young species should have this technology." His science officer, a creature made of blue crystal, studied the readings. "War Master, their planetary shields are beyond our understanding. The power source alone should be impossible for them to build." On Earth, Admiral Kate Morrison watched the display from her command center. The moon's destruction had been expected. Project Lazarus had prepared for this exact moment. "All defensive systems are working perfectly," she reported to President Brooks. "The debris is being handled." Commander Alex Stone coordinated the civilian evacuation from his post deep underground. For decades, people had wondered why every major city had subway systems that went so deep. Now they knew. The tunnels led to massive underground cities that could house millions of people. These weren't simple shelters thrown together in panic. They were complete civilizations built over centuries. Underground farms grew food using artificial sunlight. Factories produced everything needed for survival. Schools taught children who had never seen the surface. The underground cities were humanity's backup plan. "All civilians are secured," Stone reported. "The surface cities are empty. We're ready for whatever comes next." Dr. Lisa Grant worked frantically in the deepest bunkers, where Project Lazarus had its heart. The systems she had spent her life building were finally being put to the test. Around her, technicians monitored displays showing energy readings that should have been impossible. "The displacement field is stable," she reported. "The quantum tunneling devices are online. We're ready to move to Phase 2. Captain Beth Turner piloted her reconnaissance ship through the darkness between Earth and the Catherian fleet. The U.E.'s Horizon was built for stealth, its hull designed to bend light around it. She needed to get close to the enemy ships without being detected. "I'm reading their power signatures," she reported over the radio. "These ships are using stellar energy. They're literally powered by stars." "How is that possible?" asked Admiral Morrison. "They have some kind of stellar collectors," Beth replied. "They're draining energy from our sun. If they keep this up, they'll turn it into a cold, dead rock." The implications hit everyone at once. The Catherians weren't just planning to conquer Earth. They were going to kill the sun itself. Without it, the entire solar system would become a frozen wasteland. President Brooks called another emergency meeting. The world leaders gathered in the command center, their faces grim. "The situation has changed," she announced. "They're not just attacking us. They're trying to destroy our entire system." "Then we have no choice," said the Prime Minister of Africa. "We have to use Project Lazarus to its full extent." Dr. Grant nodded. "I've been waiting for this authorization for 20 years. We can implement the complete protocol." "Do it," Brooks said. "Send the final warning." The transmission went out on every frequency the Catherians used. It was broadcast to their home world, their colonies, and every ship in their fleet. President Brooks appeared on their screens, but she was not alone. Behind her stood the leaders of every nation on Earth. "Catherian Empire," she began, her voice carrying across the galaxy. "You have ignored our warnings. You have destroyed our moon. You are attempting to kill our sun. This is humanity's final warning to you." The transmission switched to show images that made the alien commanders gasp. Deep space telescopes revealed something massive moving in the darkness beyond Pluto. It was bigger than any ship the Catherians had ever built. It was bigger than most moons. "For 400 years, we have been preparing for this day," Brooks continued. "We detected your signals long before you knew we existed. We studied your tactics, your technology, your weaknesses. We have been building something you cannot imagine." The images showed more details of the massive object. It was not a ship. It was an entire world, built from scratch in the cold darkness of space. Cities covered its surface. Weapons that could crack planets lined its equator. It was moving toward the inner system, and it was moving fast. "You call yourselves an empire," Brooks said. "You think you rule the galaxy. You are wrong. There are forces in this universe that you have never encountered. You are about to meet one of them." Zektar watched the transmission with growing horror. The object in space was impossible. No species could build something like that. It would take thousands of years and resources from hundreds of worlds. "Analysis report," he demanded from his science officer. "War Master, the readings are beyond our instruments. The energy signature suggests it's powered by controlled stellar fusion. It's not just a ship, it's a mobile planet. How many inhabitants? Unknown. But based on the city structures we can see, it could house billions." Zektar felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. The Catherian Empire had conquered the galaxy because they were always the most advanced species they encountered. But these humans had been hiding their true capabilities. On Earth, Colonel Jake Martinez coordinated with military leaders around the world. "All ground forces are in position," he reported. "The surface may be empty, but our defense systems are fully operational." "What about the orbital platforms?" asked Admiral Morrison. "They're powering up now. The Catherians are about to get a surprise." Around Earth, satellites that had seemed harmless for decades began to change. Solar panels folded back to reveal weapon arrays. Communication dishes transformed into energy cannons. The entire orbital network was a disguised defense system. Dr. Grant activated the final phase of the warning. "Initiating quantum displacement," she announced. "The Catherians are about to see what we've really been building." Earth itself began to shimmer. The planet seemed to exist in multiple places at once, its image wavering like heat waves. The Catherian weapons could not lock onto it. Their targeting systems showed dozens of Earths, all occupying the same space. "War Master," his science officer reported in panic, "their entire planet is phasing through multiple dimensions. We cannot target it." Zektar stared at the impossible sight. A species that could move planets through space and time was beyond anything the Empire had ever encountered. "Send a message to the home world," he ordered. "Tell them we need reinforcements. All of them." But when his communications officer tried to send the message, nothing happened. The humans had somehow cut them off from the rest of the Empire. The Catherian fleet was alone, facing an enemy they did not understand. President Brooks appeared on their screens one final time. "You have 24 hours to leave our system," she said. "This is your last chance. After that, we stop being polite." The transmission ended. In the darkness beyond Pluto, the massive artificial world continued its approach. Around Earth, weapons that could destroy stars began to charge. Humanity had finished playing defense. Now they were going to show the Catherian Empire what real power looked like. The greatest military force in galactic history was about to learn that they had made a terrible mistake. They had awakened something that should have been left alone. The war was about to begin, and humanity was no longer the underdog. The Catherian fleet began their final attack at dawn. Their massive ships moved into position around Earth, weapons charging with deadly energy. War Master Zektar had decided to end this quickly. The humans had shown advanced technology, but numbers would win the day. 300 ships against one small planet should be an easy victory. "Begin planetary bombardment," he ordered. "Turn their world to glass." The first wave of planet cracker beams lanced down toward Earth. These weapons had destroyed countless worlds, turning solid rock into molten slag. But when they hit Earth's atmosphere, something impossible happened. The beams simply passed through the planet without causing any damage. "Report," Zektar demanded. "War Master, our weapons are not connecting with the target. The planet appears to be phasing between dimensions. We cannot lock onto it. On Earth's surface, massive structures began rising from hidden underground installations. They had been built over centuries, disguised as natural formations. Mountains split open to reveal weapon arrays. Lakes drained to expose launch platforms. The planet's surface was transforming before the aliens' eyes. Admiral Kate Morrison watched. From her command center, deep underground. All defense systems are operational, she reported. Project Lazarus is entering Phase 3. Dr. Lisa Grant stood in the central control room, surrounded by technology that seemed to belong in a science fiction movie. Massive screens showed energy readings that broke all known laws of physics. The displacement field is stable, she announced. We are ready to reveal the truth. President Brooks activated a planet-wide communication system. Her voice reached every human on Earth and every Catherian ship in space. Citizens of Earth, the moment we have prepared for has arrived. For 400 years, we have been building something unprecedented. Today, the galaxy learns what humanity is truly capable of. The truth began to unfold. The massive structures rising from Earth's surface were not weapons. They were components of the largest engineering project in human history. The entire planet had been converted into a massive machine, but not for war. It was for something far more incredible. Engineer Paul Wright coordinated the activation of the displacement grid from his station in the Rocky Mountains. The network of quantum tunneling devices had been hidden across the planet for decades. Grid is online, he reported. We're ready to move. Lieutenant Amy Clark monitored the deep space sensors from her post in Antarctica. Contact confirmed, she announced. New Terra is approaching the inner system. The massive artificial world that had been detected beyond Pluto was finally visible to the naked eye. It was not just a ship or a station. It was an entire planet, built from scratch in the cold darkness of space. Cities covered its surface, their lights twinkling like stars. But this was no ordinary world. It was humanity's greatest achievement that Captain Tony Miller sat in the pilot's chair of his fighter, waiting in New Terra's launch bay. Around him, thousands of other pilots prepared for battle, but these were not ordinary spacecraft. They were built using technology that the Catherians had never encountered. All squadrons ready for launch, he reported. Colonel Jake Martinez stood in the command center on New Terra, watching Earth through the observation windows. The blue planet looked peaceful from this distance, but he knew better. Admiral Hayes. We are in position. Admiral Susan Hayes commanded New Terra from its massive bridge. The artificial world was 3 times larger than Earth's moon, but it moved through space like a living thing. Begin the revelation, she ordered. The truth about Project Lazarus was more incredible than anyone had imagined. 400 years ago, when humans first detected alien signals, they had made a decision. They would not wait to be conquered. They would prepare to conquer instead. The project had multiple phases. Phase 1 was the underground cities, built to protect Earth's population. Phase 2 was the orbital defense network, disguised as peaceful satellites. Phase 3 was the displacement technology, allowing Earth to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. But Phase 4 was the most ambitious. Humanity had built a second world, constructed entirely in the cold darkness beyond Pluto. New Terra was not just a battleship. It was a mobile planet capable of supporting billions of people while carrying weapons that could destroy entire star systems. Dr. Grant explained the technology to the world leaders. The displacement field allows us to move Earth itself through space. We can travel faster than light, carrying our entire civilization with us. The underground cities aren't just shelters. They're the beginning of humanity's expansion into the galaxy. The Cytherian fleet watched in growing horror as the truth became clear. These humans had not just prepared to defend themselves. They had prepared to become a galactic empire. The species they had thought was young and weak had been planning for interstellar war for centuries. "Science officer," Zektar demanded, "how is this possible? Our intelligence reports showed they were a primitive species." "War Master, their deception was complete. They allowed us to see only what they wanted. Used to see. While we observed their surface cities and primitive spacecraft, they were building something far more advanced underneath." New Terra moved into position between Earth and the Cytherian fleet. The artificial world was a marvel of engineering. Its surface covered with cities that stretched from pole to pole. But it was also a weapon. Energy conduits ran through its core, channeling power from controlled stellar fusion reactors. Captain Beth Turner flew her reconnaissance ship around New Terra, gathering intelligence for the coming battle. "Admiral Morrison, I'm reading power. Signatures beyond our instruments. This thing can move planets through space. It's not just a ship, it's a mobile civilization." The revelation continued. Commander Alex Stone coordinated the evacuation of Earth's surface cities, but not for the reason the Cytherians expected. The underground cities were not hiding places. They were launch preparation areas. Earth itself was about to become humanity's first mobile planet. "All civilians are secure in the underground cities," Stone reported. "We're ready for planetary displacement." Dr. Grant activated the final systems, initiating quantum field generation. Earth is about to join New Terra in mobile configuration. The planet began to change. Energy fields surrounded it, making it shimmer like a mirage. The oceans continued to flow. The atmosphere remained stable, but Earth was no longer bound by the laws of physics that govern normal worlds. It could move through space like a ship. President Brooks addressed the Cytherian fleet directly. "War Master, Zektar, you came here expecting to find a weak species ready for conquest. Instead, you have discovered something that will change the galaxy forever. Humanity is not just defending itself. We are expanding." The massive artificial world of New Terra powered its weapons. Energy cascaded along its surface as weapon arrays came online. These were not the crude planet crackers that the Cytherians used. These were weapons that could manipulate space and time itself. "This is Admiral Susan Hayes of New Terra," came a transmission to the Cytherian fleet. "You have 30 minutes to leave this system. After that, we will demonstrate why your empire's expansion has come to an end." Zektar realized with growing horror that his entire understanding of the situation had been wrong. The humans had not been defending themselves. They had been preparing to attack. The Cytherian Empire, which had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years, was about to face an enemy that had been planning their destruction for centuries. "Send a message to the whole world," he ordered desperately. "Tell them we need the entire battle fleet. These humans are not what they seem." But his communications officer shook his head. "War Master, all communication with the Empire has been severed. We cannot reach anyone outside this system." The trap was complete. The Cytherian fleet was cut off from reinforcements, facing two mobile planets armed with weapons beyond their understanding. The species they had come to conquer was about to become their destroyer. Earth and New Terra moved into attack position. The greatest military force in galactic history was about to learn that they had awakened something that should have been left alone. The war was about to begin, and humanity was no longer the defender. They were the aggressor, and they had been planning this moment for 400 years. The 30 minutes passed in tense silence. War Master Zektar stared at the impossible sight before him. Two planets hung in space where there should have been one. Earth glowed with energy fields that made it shimmer like a jewel. New Terra. The massive artificial world moved through space like a living thing. Both worlds were aimed at his fleet like loaded guns. War Master, his science officer reported, they're powering weapons we don't understand. The energy readings are off. Our scales. Zektar had conquered 800 worlds, but he had never seen anything like this. The humans had turned their entire civilization into a weapon. All ships, prepare for battle. We will show them the might of the Cytherian Empire. Admiral Susan Hayes sat in the command center of New Terra, watching the enemy fleet through massive windows. The artificial world's bridge was the size of a city, with thousands of officers coordinating the attack. All squadrons, prepare for launch. Show them what humanity has built. The first wave of human fighters erupted from New Terra's surface. They were not ordinary ships. Captain Tony Miller led his squadron through space, his fighter phasing in and out of normal reality. The ships could exist in multiple dimensions at once, making them impossible to target. Squadron leaders, this is Captain Miller. Remember your training. These aliens have never faced quantum fighters before. Make every shot count. The Cytherian fleet opened fire with their planet cracker weapons. Beams of pure destruction lanced across space, but they passed harmlessly through the human fighters. The ships existed in a different dimension, untouchable by conventional weapons. Impossible, Zektar breathed. How can they build ships that exist outside normal space? The human fighters struck back with weapons that attacked at the quantum level. They didn't just destroy the alien ships. They unmade them, turning solid matter back into energy. Entire Cytherian vessels simply ceased to exist, leaving nothing behind but empty space. Admiral Kate Morrison coordinated the attack from Earth's command center. All orbital platforms, engage at will. Show them what 400 years of preparation looks like. The satellites around Earth revealed their true nature. What had seemed like peaceful communication and weather stations transformed into weapons platforms. Energy cannons that could crack moons opened fire on the Cytherian fleet. The aliens had been surrounded by human weapons for decades without knowing it. On New Terra, engineer Paul Wright monitored the artificial world's main weapon systems. Admiral Hayes, the stellar bombardment array is ready. We can crack their largest ships. Do it, Hayes ordered. End this quickly. New Terra's surface split open to reveal weapons that harvested the power of stars. Concentrated stellar energy lanced across space, striking the Cytherian command ship. The vessel's crystal hull, which had withstood the fire of countless worlds, shattered like glass. Dr. Lisa Grant activated Earth's ultimate weapon, initiating planetary displacement field. Earth is now a mobile battle platform. The blue planet began to move through space, its population safe in the underground cities. But Earth was more than just a refugee ship. It was a weapon that could destroy entire star systems. The planet's core had been converted into a massive quantum reactor, giving it power beyond imagination. Lieutenant Amy Clark coordinated the attack from her position in Antarctica. All ground-based weapons are operational. The Cytherians are learning what it means to fight a planet. Massive energy beams erupted from Earth's surface, each one powered by the planet's converted core. The weapons didn't just destroy the alien ships. They erased them from existence, removing every trace that they had ever been built. The battle turned into a massacre. The Cytherian fleet, which had conquered hundreds of worlds, was being destroyed by technology they couldn't understand. Their matter conversion weapons were useless against enemies that existed in multiple dimensions. Their planet crackers couldn't target worlds that phased through space and time. Commander Alex Stone led the ground forces in a coordinated assault. All defense platforms focus fire on their command vessels, cut off their leadership. The Cytherian Empire's greatest weakness was revealed. They had become comfortable with their superiority. For 10,000 years, they had faced only primitive species. They had never encountered an enemy that was more advanced than they were. Captain Beth Turner flew her reconnaissance ship through the battle, gathering intelligence on the enemy. Admiral Morrison, their fleet is in complete disarray. They're trying to retreat, but our displacement fields are preventing them from escaping. The humans had surrounded the Catherian fleet with quantum fields that made faster-than-light travel impossible. The aliens were trapped in a cage of warped space-time, unable to run or call for help. Sektar watched his fleet die around him. Ships that had conquered worlds were being destroyed by weapons that attacked reality itself. How did we underestimate them so badly? He demanded. His science officer, what remained of him after their ship was damaged, gave him the answer. War Master, they let us underestimate them. Everything we observed was carefully planned. While we watched their primitive surface cities, they were building a galactic empire underneath. The truth was even more devastating. The humans had not just prepared to defend themselves. They had prepared to replace the Catherian Empire entirely. For 400 years, they had been planning not just to survive, but to conquer. Admiral Hayes opened a communication channel to the surviving Catherian ships. War Master Zit-Tar, your empire's expansion has ended. Surrender now, and we will spare your crews. Never, Zek-Tar responded. The Catherian Empire does not surrender. Then you will share the fate of your ships. Hayes replied calmly. New Terra's main weapon charged for a final strike. The artificial world's entire surface glowed with energy as it prepared to fire. The weapon was designed to destroy not just ships, but the space they occupied. It would erase the Catherian fleet from existence. But Admiral Morrison had a different idea. Wait, she transmitted to New Terra. We need to send a message. President Brooks appeared on screens throughout both human worlds. Citizens of Earth and New Terra, today we have proven that humanity will not be conquered, but our work is not finished. The Catherian Empire still exists. They still hold hundreds of worlds in slavery. It is time to free them. The revelation was complete. Humanity had not just been preparing to defend Earth. They had been preparing to conquer the galaxy. The underground cities were not shelters. They were the beginning of humanity's expansion into space. The orbital defense network was not just for protection. It was for power projection across the stars. Dr. Grant activated the final phase of Project Lazarus, initiating Galactic Displacement Protocol. Both worlds are ready for interstellar travel. Earth and New Terra began to move faster than light, carrying their entire civilizations with them. They were no longer bound to the solar system. They were mobile worlds, capable of traveling anywhere in the galaxy. The remaining Catherian ships tried desperately to escape, but it was too late. The human worlds followed them through space, hunting them like wolves. The empire that had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years was about to face its greatest enemy. Admiral Hayes broadcast a message to the Catherian home world. This is Admiral Susan Hayes of the Human Defense Force. Your War Master came to our system with threats of conquest. We have destroyed his fleet and taken his survivors prisoner. You have awakened something you cannot control. Humanity is coming. The message traveled faster than light, reaching the Catherian capital in minutes. For the first time in their history, the rulers of the galaxy faced an enemy that was stronger than they were. The age of the Catherian Empire was ending. The age of humanity was about to begin. In the depths of space, two worlds moved toward their destiny. Earth and New Terra, carrying billions of humans, traveled through the darkness toward the heart of the galaxy. The war was far from over. It was just beginning, and humanity was no longer the underdog. They were the conquerors. 6 months after the destruction of the Catherian fleet at Earth, the galaxy had changed forever. The empire that had ruled for 10,000 years was crumbling. World after world fell to the advancing human forces. Earth and New Terra moved through space like unstoppable juggernauts, their weapons cutting through Cytherian defenses as if they were made of paper. Admiral Susan Hayes stood on the bridge of New Terra, watching another Cytherian world surrender. The planet below had once been a military stronghold, defended by hundreds of ships. Now it was just another liberated world, its population free for the first time in centuries. "Admiral," reported Captain Tony Miller, "the planetary defense fleet has stood down. They're requesting terms of surrender." Hayes nodded. "Send Captain White to negotiate. Remember, we're not here to conquer. We're here to liberate." Captain Lara White had become humanity's chief diplomat in the months since the war began. She had a gift for dealing with alien species, helping them understand that the humans were different from the Cytherians. Instead of enslaving conquered worlds, humanity offered them freedom and protection. "This is Captain White of the Human Liberation Force," she transmitted to the surrendering planet. "We offer you the same choice we give to all worlds. Join our alliance as equals, or remain independent under our protection. The choice is yours." The response came quickly. Like most worlds that had lived under Cytherian rule, they chose freedom. The human alliance was growing rapidly, not through conquest, but through voluntary cooperation. Dr. Lisa Grant coordinated the Galactic Defense Network. From her command center on Earth, the planet had become the mobile capital of the growing human confederation. Using the quantum displacement technology from Project Lazarus, they could instantly transport fleets anywhere in the galaxy. "Network status report," she announced to President Brooks. "We now have defense stations in over 200 star systems. Any world that joins our alliance receives immediate protection." The network was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of ruling through fear like the Cytherians, humanity protected their allies through strength. Any world that attacked a human ally would face instant retaliation from anywhere in the galaxy. Commander Alex Stone led the integration efforts on newly liberated worlds. His job was to help former Cytherian slaves rebuild their civilizations. Unlike the crystal beings who had ruled through terror, humans offered technology, resources, and most importantly, hope. "The Zelani system is ready for full independence," he reported from the planet's surface. "Their government is stable, their defenses are operational, and they've requested to join the Confederation." The transformation was remarkable. Worlds that had been strip-mined for resources were being restored. Species that had been enslaved for generations were learning to govern themselves again. The human approach was working better than anyone had expected. Engineer Paul Wright oversaw the construction of the new galactic infrastructure. Mobile platforms that could build entire cities in weeks. Terraforming equipment that could restore dead worlds to life. Technology that the Cytherians had never bothered to develop because they preferred destruction to creation. Admiral Hayes. He reported from his construction ship. "The Corellian system is complete. Full terraforming finished in 8 months instead of the usual 50 years. Their population can return from the refugee camps." The Cytherian Empire had left a trail of devastation across the galaxy. Dead worlds, extinct species, cultures wiped from existence. But humanity was proving that the damage could be undone. With patience, technology, and determination, even the worst destruction could be healed. Lieutenant Amy Clark monitored deep space from her position on New Terra. The artificial world had become a mobile fortress, protecting the expanding human confederation. But her scanners were picking up something new. Something that would change everything. "Admiral, I'm detecting a massive fleet approaching from the galactic core. It's not Cytherian. The energy signatures are completely different." Admiral Kate Morrison studied the readings from her command post on Earth. The fleet was enormous, bigger than anything the Cytherians had ever assembled. But the ships were ancient, their design unlike anything in the databases. Analysis complete, Amy reported. The fleet belongs to the ancients, the race that ruled the galaxy before the Catherians. They are returning. The news spread quickly through the human confederation. The ancients were legends, a species so advanced that they had transcended physical existence millions of years ago. Their return could mean the end of everything humanity had built. President Brooks called an emergency council meeting. Leaders from dozens of species gathered in Earth's underground capital. The chamber was a marvel of engineering, large enough to hold representatives from across the galaxy. The situation is unprecedented, Brooks announced. The ancients created most of the technology that both we and the Catherians use. If they want their galaxy back, we may not be able to stop them. But Dr. Grant had been studying the ancient technology for months. I don't think they're here to reconquer, she said. Their message is different. They want to meet with us. The meeting was arranged on a neutral world, halfway between human space and the approaching ancient fleet. Admiral Morrison led the human delegation, while the ancients sent a single representative. What they discovered changed everything. The ancient was not what they expected. Instead of a being of pure energy, it appeared as a simple humanoid figure made of crystalline light. When it spoke, its voice carried the weight of millions of years. Humans of Earth, it said, we have watched your rise with great interest. You are the first species in eons to choose creation over destruction. This is why we have returned. The revelation was stunning. The ancients had not come to reclaim their empire. They had come to pass it on. Humanity had proven itself worthy of inheriting the galaxy through their actions, not their conquest. The Catherian Empire was a test, the ancient explained. We allowed them to rise to see if any species would emerge that could surpass them. You have done more than defeat them. You have shown a better way. The transfer of power was unlike anything in galactic history. Instead of a violent conquest, it was a peaceful transition. The ancients shared their most advanced technology with humanity, including the secrets of transcendence itself. Captain Beth Turner was among the first humans to explore the ancient archives. The technology they contained was beyond imagination. Weapons that could create universes, shields that existed outside of time, ships that traveled between dimensions as easily as crossing a room. This changes everything, she reported to Admiral Hayes. With this technology, we can protect not just the galaxy, but the entire universe. The final confrontation with the Catherian Empire came not through battle, but through choice. The remaining Catherian worlds were given the same offer as everyone else: join the Confederation or remain independent. Most chose to join, tired of the endless cycle of conquest and destruction. War Master Ziktar, now a prisoner of war, was brought before Admiral Morrison for judgment. The crystal being that had once commanded the destruction of worlds stood broken in his cell, his empire gone, his people scattered. Why? He asked, why did you spare us? We would have destroyed you without hesitation. Morrison looked at the defeated alien with something that might have been pity. Because destruction is easy. Building something better is hard. We chose the hard path. The new Galactic Confederation was unlike anything that had come before. Instead of one species ruling over others, it was truly cooperative. Each world governed itself, but all worked together for the common good. The human worlds of Earth and New Terra served as mobile capitals, traveling wherever they were needed. The underground cities that had once been shelters became the seeds of a new civilization. Human colonies spread across the galaxy, but they were different from the Catherian outposts. They were places of learning, of growth, of hope. President Brooks stood in the gardens of New Terra, watching children from dozens of species play together. Human children laughed alongside young Catherians, former enemies now friends. In the distance, Earth hung in space like a blue jewel, its lights visible even in daylight. "We didn't just survive," she said to Admiral Morrison, who stood beside her. "We became something better than we ever imagined. The transformation was complete. The species that had started as defenders had become liberators. A civilization that had hidden underground had spread across the galaxy. The final warning that humanity had issued to the Catherian Empire had become a promise to the universe itself, in the depths of space. Ancient observation posts recorded the changes with satisfaction. For the first time in millions of years, the galaxy was growing instead of dying. Worlds that had been barren were green again. Species that had been extinct were being brought back to life. The universe itself was healing. The age of conquest was over. The age of cooperation had begun. And at the center of it all, two small worlds continued their journey through the stars, carrying the dreams and hopes of countless civilizations toward a future brighter than anyone had dared to imagine. Humanity had issued its final warning to those who would destroy. Now they offered their eternal promise to those who would build. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly